Now playing at the K Street Theater in Washington, D.C., The Iceman Goeth, starring Ilhan Omar, AOC, Eric Swalwell, and Chuck Schumer in the roles they were born to play, themselves. Hear fiery speeches about abolishing borders and dismantling deportation machines right before they quietly realize they can't. So they order another round. Bold promises meet the cold reality of never actually following through. You'll laugh, you'll cry, as the Iceman of enforcement never quite cometh. Because why end the show when the rhetoric is so profitable? Tickets start at $1,000. Don't miss the performance of a lifetime. The Iceman Goeth at the K Street Theater. Because in D.C., the promises cometh, but the action goeth nowhere.
So is it performative? Is it Kabuki Theater in D.C.? Welcome to Mark Moseley Show. Please subscribe to my show on YouTube and on Rumble. We're also on Rumble now. And please do leave me any kind of comment, especially on YouTube, even if it's your favorite two-word salute. I don't mind it at all because comments make the YouTube's sentient intelligence go, wow, people are watching this crap. Let me push it out to more folks. And then the view count goes wild. Welcome to Mark Moseley Show. Is it performative for Democrats to say, not another penny for ICE?
And so today, I am glad to announce that the Congressional Progressive Caucus has adopted an official position to hold ICE accountable. Our caucus members will oppose all funding for immigration enforcement in any appropriation bills until meaningful reforms are enacted to end militarized policing practices.
Apparently it is performative because apparently they know or they don't know, or maybe they know that you don't know that ICE is already funded through 2029. So they're going to go up there and have their hearings and their debates, and they're going to make their impassioned speeches. And meanwhile, there's precious little they can do to claw that money back, by the way. It would require new legislation. It would have to pass both houses of Congress, and that ain't going to happen. And even if it did, by some miracle, Trump would just veto it. We're going to veto that so quickly, it's going to make your head spin. And they'd have to get 2/3 to override a veto. But we're going to defund ICE. You betcha. But only if you go to my campaign website now and donate $100. Won't you help me defeat Donald Trump? Won't you help me stop Hitler by sending me $100 now? Go to the website. Speaking of performance art, how about that Ilhan Omar bit the other night? Not only was she attacked right when she needed an attack, but apparently Stallone should play her in the movie because she just went right at the guy, not away, you know? You think you could come into my house and spray me with toxic chemicals? I don't think so. Let's do this. Ah! She ran right at the guy. Stallone is Congressman Omar in Il Handle with Care. Coming soon. Some are claiming it was a stunt, staged, a hoax.
Fake.
And the big reason I think that some people are saying it was a hoax was because she did run towards the attacker instead of away, and then she went right back to her speech. She doesn't seek immediate medical attention because at that point, of course, she didn't know what the guy was squirting on her. If somebody threw an unknown liquid on me, you, or anybody that we know, you wouldn't go right back to reading your speech. You would gotten to a safe, secure place and gotten checked out by EMTs. Of course, the liquid is now has been identified as non-toxic apple cider vinegar. And, but I mean, who knows? Who knows? But clearly, we do need common sense apple cider vinegar regulations to stop this madness. It's just out of control. Technically, it was an acid attack, but the acid only had a pH of 3.5. But the timing could not be better because the investigation into Ilhan Omar's net worth stems from her most recent congressional financial disclosure forms filed in late last year or in January at some point, which showed I think the word dramatic is putting it mildly, a dramatic increase in the reported value of her assets, particularly business interests tied to her husband. Or is that her brother? No, I think it's her husband, such as a winery and a DC-based venture firm, leading to estimates of her net worth ranging from, let me stand up so that I can then sit down, because you have to be sitting down for this. Her net worth is now ranged from somewhere between $30 and $44 million. Yes, she's worth as much as $44 million. Now, it's important to note that when she got to Congress 7 years ago, she was worth negative dollars. According to OpenSecrets.org, her net worth, actually, after her first year in Congress, around early 2020, based on her 2019 financial disclosure filed in 2020, her net worth was reported as somewhere between negative $65,000 and negative $25,000 for tax year 2018. Similar low or negative figures persisted into 2020 disclosures, showing minimal assets like a retirement plan participation. Omar has denied being a millionaire while calling extreme figures misleading or conspiratorial, but reliable sources like Open Secrets and fact checks from websites like Forbes confirm her early net worth remained modest or even negative, with no significant evidence of significant personal enrichment in her first year or so in office. So now suddenly she is worth between $30 and $44 million. Now that is one heck of a turnaround. So let's play this game. We'll use the squad's favorite target, Elon Musk. What was Musk's net worth 7 years ago, and what is it today? Now, obviously, these are different kinds of numbers and a different price range altogether, but wait for the point that I'm going to make. 7 years ago, Elon Musk's net worth was estimated at approximately $22.3 billion, according to consistent reports from Forbes and aggregated timelines. He was lower on billionaire lists then. Tesla stock was still in the early growth phase, and there weren't any major SpaceX valuation spikes yet. Today, as of the end of January 2026, his net worth has surged dramatically to around $775 billion. So that's $22 billion to $775 billion per Forbes real-time billionaires list. Those figures, by the way, fluctuate daily based on market closes. He at one point hit a high of $788 billion, but Bloomberg Billionaires Index places it between $677 and $690 billion. Now, this represents an explosive increase of roughly 30 to 35 times over the past 7 years. But Ilhan Omar, the congressperson from Minnesota, absolutely smokes Elon. I mean, smokes him. Her net worth has increased over 7 years by as much as, now remember, Musk's net worth has increased by 30 to 35 times. Her net worth has increased over 7 years by as much as 3 million %. So she was clearly right to call him one of the dumbest people on earth, because she is just lapping him like Captain America lapping Sam Wilson on the mall.
On your left.
Unbelievable. Bombshell video from yesterday. Did the media bury it? Did NBC, CBS, CNN, MS Now cover this at all? Probably not. They probably were trying to figure out if it was AI generated. Well, there's now a second video from a second person with a second angle. But the newly released footage, highlighted by outlets like the News Movement and analyzed by the BBC, shows a man interacting with federal immigration agents in Minneapolis approximately 11 days before the fatal shooting of Alex Pretty on January 24th. In the prior encounter, captured on video during what appears to be a separate confrontation or protest-related incident, the individual is seen arguing and physically engaging with agents. The BBC applied facial recognition technology to the footage and reportedly confirmed with 97% accuracy that the man depicted in this new video is Alex Pretty, the 37-year-old U.S. citizen and VA intensive care nurse. This clip has fueled ongoing debates and protests surrounding Pretty's death, where he was shot multiple times by federal agents during the incident last week. Amid claims he approached officers armed, the earlier footage now is being cited in discussions of patterns of interaction, potential escalation, or context for the fatal event. Investigations, including reviews of body cam footage, remain active with no final conclusions released. So let's take a look at the entirety of this footage. And for those of you who might very weakly try to claim, oh, that could be AI, because we have seen some impressive AI videos. Well, two things. Let's take a look at the other video from another source, from another angle, and you can see that it lines up pretty good. In fact, it lines up perfectly. And secondly, unfortunately for the naysayers out there, Pretty's family has confirmed that it is actually Pretty in that video. And of course, MS Now was caught trying to make Pretty pretty. Now that was AI. They put an AI filter on it and made him look a little less like a ER nurse and more like a lumberjack in that one. Now, Democrats in the media have even tried to play the "it's the guns" game in the wake of the Pretty shooting. They even tried to twist a quote from Charlie Kirk in making their argument.
I want to bring back a tweet from Charlie Kirk in 2018. He says this: the Second Amendment's not for hunting, it's not for self-protection. It is there to ensure that free people can defend themselves if, God forbid, government became tyrannical and turned against its citizens. And I think a lot of people are pointing to this because, I mean, what we saw in the streets.
So here's another example of allowing the left's argument and then running with it. You know, I always say allow the argument and then take it to its logical conclusion, because they can't help themselves, so they don't see the giant Sarlacc pit in their talking point. And this is it. You can't go around saying Trump is Hitler while saying anything about needing gun control, because those two narratives are just in direct conflict. I mean, they don't go together. They don't. You might as well try to reunite Van Halen. Although Marco Rubio could probably make that happen. We're going to put Marco Rubio on the case. He's going to reunite Van Halen. We're going to get Alex and David and Michael. We're going to get them in the same room, and we're going to make it happen, and we're going to make rock and roll great again. But you cannot reconcile these two things. I tell you what. Let's take a trip through gun control history and see how it's worked out when gun control has been taken to its extreme throughout the world and throughout history. The Ottoman Empire, the regime disarmed Armenian citizens through gun registration and confiscation laws, and then the Armenian genocide happened, where an estimated 1.5 million people were killed. Do you really want Trump to go after the guns? How about the Soviet Union? Under Stalin, private firearm ownership was heavily restricted and confiscated, contributing to the Great Purge and famines that killed millions. The People's Republic of China. Mao Zedong enacted gun bans shortly after taking power, which preceded the Great Leap Forward famine and cultural revolution that resulted in tens of millions of deaths. Guatemala. More recently, the military dictatorship there disarmed rural populations, particularly indigenous groups, before mass killings claimed over 200,000 lives. Uganda, we're going on. I could go on all day. Here we go. Idi Amin's regime banned private guns and disarmed ethnic groups, leading to the murder of as many as 500,000 citizens. Cambodia, Pol Pot's communist regime disarmed the population upon seizing power, enabling the Cambodian genocide that killed about 2 million people. Venezuela. Under Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro, strict gun bans were imposed, disarming civilians amid economic collapse and repression of protests, leading to widespread human rights abuses and many, many deaths. And of course, the preeminent example, Nazi Germany. The regime expanded on Weimar-era gun registration to disarm Jews, political opponents, and other groups, facilitating the Holocaust and mass murder on a genocidal scale under Hitler. So do you really want Donald, literally Hitler Trump, to come for the guns? I don't think you do. Maybe you guys should think about these ideas for more than 10 seconds before you just vomit them out of your mouths. Speaking of Trump being Hitler, and I think we were constantly for like the last 10 years, when it comes to some of these other things that are going on, I mean, how do you filter your narrative through moves that Trump makes and still try to maintain it? I don't understand. When it comes to the idea of pulling back in Minneapolis or even negotiating with Waltz and Mayor Frey, not very Hitlerian, not very Hitler-esque either. Hitler would not have pulled back. Hitler wouldn't have negotiated or listened to his political rivals. No, he would have had them taken out and shot. And why hasn't Hitler invaded other American cities as wildly predicted over, I don't know, the last year? We're going to have troops, National Guard troops in every American city. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that one over the last year. But there was a dust-up in Portland, then that died down. There was a little minor skirmish down in Texas, that died down. D.C., the cleanup of D.C. For a minute, I think there were some things going on in Chicago. But only in Minneapolis have we seen the level of chaos and violence. And I'm just wondering, why hasn't it moved to other cities if it's Trump's plan to seize total control of American society? By the way, here's another little factoid for you, for all of you Trump is Hitler fans out there. There were about 10,000 ICE agents at the beginning of Trump's second term. There is no publicly available evidence of any large-scale or notable wave of resignations among pre-existing ICE agents or officers in the last year. So where are all the men and women of good conscience who are quitting in protest over what the left is framing as ICE being stormtroopers and Gestapo and the SS and going too far and committing atrocities and human rights violations? Where are the people of good conscience that have said, no more, I cannot put on this uniform and go to work for this man? Where are they? I mean, and we're talking about 10,000 people. Surely the media can find a handful of them that have quit, in protest over what ICE has become. Okay, so then that would mean that all 10,000 of them were all secretly Nazis the whole time, and they were just waiting for their Führer to come along to lead them. And I saw this post on Facebook this week. If you want to know if you're a real activist or a fake activist, just do this little test. It's fun to play the change sides game, and that's what this post is all about. Here's food for thought. If ICE was deporting MAGA people, would you be protesting in the streets against the abuse of American citizens, or celebrating in the streets? Would you say they're targeting U.S. citizens who pay their taxes and are not breaking any laws? Or would you be saying, bye, Felicia? If MAGA people were stalking, harassing, intimidating, and assaulting federal law enforcement, would you still be calling them protesters? Or would you be calling them agitators, provocateurs, criminals, terrorists, or, gasp, J6ers? If you think a 150-pound unarmed woman jumping through a window deserved to be shot, referring to January 6th, but not a woman driving a 2,000-pound weapon into an officer, congratulations, you are a fake activist. Right back after this.
Are you an insurrectionist? Take this simple quiz to find out. If you're engaging in physical confrontations that injure law enforcement, throwing objects at them, even causing permanent damage like biting off an officer's finger while protesting your government, you may be an insurrectionist. Are you breaching barriers, swarming officers, breaking windows, and destroying other government-owned property? You might be an insurrectionist. Are you in a group of people who've been communicating clandestinely to plot and plan and conspire against the government's lawful operation in a violent fashion? You too might be an insurrectionist. Can you peacefully protest? You betcha. But when you're playing overthrow the government just because you don't like how an election turned out, be careful, because you might be an insurrectionist.
Well, the media got a few things wrong this week, but hey, that's what they do. I'm Mark Moseley. Welcome back to the show. Don't forget to follow me on social media at Mark Moseley, Moseley, at Mark Moseley on all social media. Please subscribe to my podcast on YouTube or Rumble, and don't forget to watch it, because if you just listen to the podcast, although you can listen to it, it's available on iHeart and Spotify and Spreaker and a few other places. If you watch it, if you listen to it, you miss a few things. You don't get to see the video footage and things like that. So, but the media's coverage of ICE is, I think, a big part of the problem, because they have helped craft this narrative. A new analysis from Media Research Center reviewed 121 minutes of evening news coverage on ABC, CBS, and NBC between January 7th and 17th and found that 93% of the reporting on ICE enforcement by those networks was negative. Now, the skew intensified after the January 7th fatal shooting of Renee Good during an ICE operation in Minneapolis. But according to the study, networks featured criminal rhetoric comparing ICE tactics to authoritarian policing, while giving minimal airtime to crimes committed by illegal immigrants or injuries sustained by federal agents. Less than 7% of quoted perspectives were supportive of enforcement. The coverage unfolded amid nationwide protests, some of which escalated into mob actions, including the disruption of a church service. ICE officials note the agency is currently facing record detainee numbers, expanded hiring, and a surge in assault on officers. Despite that context, mainstream reporting largely framed enforcement as provocation rather than response. And they got the Pam Bondi letter to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz wrong. The media widely reported that the Pam Bondi letter offered to pull ICE out of Minneapolis if demands were met. And then they tried to claim that, well, this was never about immigration enforcement. Except in the text of Pam Bondi's letter, she never even comes close to hinting that ICE's operation in Minneapolis is going to wind down if we get what we want, which included, by the way, demands for the voter rolls, I believe it was. Now, here's the relevant part of the letter where the media tried to read between the lines. Quote, and this is her letter to Governor Walz. You and your office must restore the rule of law, support ICE officers, and bring an end to the chaos in Minneapolis. Fortunately, there are common sense solutions to these problems that I hope we can accomplish together. First, share all of Minnesota's records on Medicaid and food and nutrition service programs, including the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program data with the federal government. Now, this, of course, is part of that investigation into all that fraud. Allowing the federal government to efficiently investigate fraud will save Minnesota taxpayers money and ensure that Minnesota's welfare funds are being used to help those in need, not to enrich fraudsters. Number two, second, repeal your state's sanctuary policies and work cooperative with federal immigration authorities to enforce the law and protect public safety. Third, number three, allow the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice to access voter rolls to confirm that Minnesota's voter registration practices comply with federal law. Because as you see, Minnesota has been one of the federal government has been demanding the voter rolls of all of the states so that they can go through and check for voter fraud. Minnesota has said, hey guys, screw you, we're not giving you our voter rolls. That's why she put it in the letter. She continues, quote, I am confident that these simple steps will help bring back law and order to Minnesota and improve the lives of Americans. In December 2025, the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, launched Operation Metro Surge to protect Americans from the dangers presented by unchecked illegal immigration, including violent crime and drug trafficking. I write to urge a change. I request that you join us in that effort. Nowhere in there does she even hint or give any kind of a wink that if you do these things, ICE will stand down. Quite the opposite. The message I come away with is we're not stopping. Get on board the train because the train's rolling on. We strongly urge you to help us make your state and your city safer and less corruption and crime ridden. But yet the media tried to say that she was offering a deal to Tim Walz. Show me. I just read the text and I got into a debate with somebody on Facebook that made me want to bang my head against the wall because this person on Facebook kept insisting that it was in there. And I'm like, I'm looking at the text of the letter. Show me where she says we will pull back. She never said that. Saw this one, speaking of Facebook, from a woman named Janet Elaine Parks, who wrote, why didn't Obama's ICE raids get the same outrage as Trump's? Let me say this clearly before someone starts foaming at the mouth. If you think everything Trump does is evil no matter what, well, this post isn't for you. And if you think Trump can do no wrong ever, this post isn't for you either. This is for the reasonable Americans who still believe in facts over feelings and admit when people are being selectively outraged. Because here's the truth. Obama did ICE raids too. Barack Obama deported millions of illegal immigrants during his presidency. Do you think that happened with a polite email and a gift basket? No, it happened through enforcement. It happened through raids. It happened through detentions. It happened the same way that enforcement happens today. We had protests as well. If you search for these videos, you can find them. Kids in cages didn't start with Trump. Remember the viral kids in cages photos that everyone blamed Trump for? A lot of those detention images came during the Obama era. And yet, where was the endless media outrage? Where were the officials screaming dictatorship? Where were the riots and street chaos? You didn't hear political leaders complain about it. Why? Because people liked Obama. The difference isn't what ICE is doing. It's the selective outrage being created around it. Here's my take. ICE's enforcement under Trump is being treated like it's fascism, not because it's new, but because it's politically useful to make it look new. Let's be honest. People hate Trump. Selective outrage equals a weapon. What we're watching right now isn't organic protest. It's organized. Caravans traveling across state lines to block enforcement. Crowds swarming agents and attacking them. Chaos being encouraged and amplified. Politicians fueling resistance instead of calming the public. Which I've been saying, where are the politicians of the left saying, hey guys, this is not cool. Yeah, we don't like ICE. We're pretty clear about that. But you know what? This violence is not cool. Obama's administration, she continues, Obama's administration honored Tom Homan with a Presidential Rank Award for his work running ICE. Many articles describe it as being given in 2015. It was reported on in 2016 during an awards banquet. But now those same people call that same enforcement tyranny because the letter next to the president's name has changed. Now Homan is hated for doing the same thing. And the goal is simple. Create the illusion that ICE is failing. They are not. Create the illusion the country is collapsing. It isn't. These are isolated blue cities being broadcast as a countrywide thing. Create viral footage that makes Trump look like a tyrant and ICE look like villains. Even though the core enforcement and same tactics existed under Obama. Words have consequences. When people start calling ICE Gestapo and screaming dictatorship, that language turns into violence. It's gotten people hurt. It's gotten people killed. It's going to get more people killed if we keep pretending this is just passion. Obama enforced immigration law too. He just didn't get the same smoke. One of the talking points of the left is that, and I've always thought this one's bizarre and ridiculous, but you hear them trying it, is that Obama didn't do workplace raids. Well, Trump is sending people into where people work and they're grabbing people and kidnapping them at their jobs. And somehow that's new. Really? Then where does this trope from film and television come from? Here's a couple of examples.
You guys know the drill. Let's see some papers. No, let's see some papers.
Where's my wallet?
Papers.
Where's my wallet go?
Papers.
No, I dropped my wallet. My wallet is papers.
Oh, these are doozies.
What do you got?
We got a Don Johnson, Elvis.
Both of those examples are from film that preceded Trump, that predate Trump's second term. So tell me, Mr. and Mrs. Media person, where did that comedic trope of the INS, everybody scramble, where does that comedic trope come from? If INS, if ICE didn't do workplace raids before Trump 2.0. Let's talk about how Obama factually did kick out 3 million immigrant families who had broken no other law. In fact, he kicked out 3 immigrant families for every 1 drug dealer or gang member. Here's an AI representation of what that looked like in reality. There you go. Look at me making a highly emotional argument, just like the left does when they want to manipulate your thinking. Here are the goods. For those who poo-poo this claim, about 70% of the people Obama kicked squarely and coldly right in the butt were just decent, hardworking people who mowed your lawns and cleaned your hotel room. Again, using the language of the left's emotional manipulation. A fair, widely acceptable percentage that most analysts, fact checkers, and sources across left-leaning, like American Immigration Council, Migration Policy Institute, neutral sites like the Pew Research data, data-driven studies like Track at Syracuse University, roughly agree that around 60 to 70% of Obama-era deportees had no criminal conviction or only minor non-serious ones like traffic violations, speeding, DUI, those kind of things. The New York Times 2014 analysis of internal records through early Obama years found that nearly 2/3 of 2 million cases involved giving the boot, hustling out of our country. Nearly 2 million cases of people with minor infractions, often traffic, no criminal record at all, while only 20% of people Obama deported had serious crimes, violence, drug felonies. The Pew Research study took 2013, for example, a peak year, with 483,000 removals, reported 59% had a criminal conviction. 41% had no criminal conviction that year. Track Syracuse and related reports highlight that much of the criminal label came from traffic violations and immigration offenses. Later years saw a shift. Interior removals reached 90% with convictions, but overall numbers still included many recent crossers with no prior U.S. record beyond entry itself. So, narrowing to strictly no criminal record at all, including or excluding even minor conviction, it's close to 30 to 40% in peak years. But many non-felons or no other laws broken besides illegal entry cases were recent border crossers. But yes, Obama deported as many as 2/3 of the people that he kicked out were just simple people keeping their heads down, people with families. Chew on that. We'll be right back with some lighter news and some good news.
And now, Shallow Thoughts by Al Ibril.
I don't know a lot of things for certain, but I do know this. If either of those citizens in Minneapolis had died at the hands of an illegal immigrant, it for sure would have been a national news story for days.
Welcome back to Mark Moseley Show. In other news, turning to the lighter side of things, a Chinese-based blogger claims to have successfully recovered something really cool from SIM cards and other electronic components, and it's not data. Using a series of complex processes like strong acid dissolution, not the stuff they threw at Ilhan Omar, much stronger acids, and electrolytic reduction. He even shared a video showcasing the so-called SIM alchemy process, which made other people eager to try it for themselves. The blogger's video caused quite a reaction on social media and controversy. Experts explained that the actual content of this certain element in SIM cards, in chips, is extremely low. So this Chinese blogger responded and he said, "The materials I used were not ordinary SIM cards, but they were rather a collection of gold-plated waste chips from the communications electronics field. You see, he used acid to cook down these SIM cards. And so kids, only if you know what you're doing here. Very dangerous stuff. Do not try this at home. But the blogger over time collected 191 grams of gold from melting down SIM cards worth approximately $17,000 in cash. There's gold and then there are landfills. And it's time for our doofus of the week. The doofus this time is a hospital, because earlier this week, 41-year-old Jorge Baseto went to the hospital in Cordoba, Argentina, for a gallbladder surgery. The operation was scheduled for a Tuesday, but due to circumstances out of his control, his procedure was postponed to Wednesday. And that's where things went wrong. That small detail caused a viral malpractice scandal that has engulfed the whole country of Argentina. On the day of his surgery, hospital staff came into his room, laid him on a stretcher, and without talking to him at all or checking his chart, they hauled him off to the operating room. They didn't bother checking his chart there either, so they just performed the type of surgery they had scheduled for that day. Well, Jorge woke up from his surgery. He had no idea what had happened. But then a doctor came in to check on him, and after looking at his chart, the doctor realized they screwed up and gave him the shocking news he had undergone a vasectomy instead of gallbladder surgery. The Argentinian man was speechless for a few moments, then began to panic, but didn't have much time for that, as he was soon scheduled for the surgery he was supposed to get in the first place. After he woke up from the second surgery, the second one they did the right thing, Jorge Baseto wanted to know how the error had occurred and what could be done to reverse this vasectomy. Well, the doctors kept trying to point fingers at each other for the blunder, and they kept telling him not to be overly dramatic about the situation because he could always conceive children through artificial insemination. Well, where's the fun in that? And I don't ask that rhetorically. As for the vasectomy, because of his age and the size of the severed ducts, the chances of success were very slim, so there was no point in them even trying to reverse the vasectomy. Jorge told an Argentinian news outlet, quote, "It's very strange because my chart said gallbladder everywhere. Gallbladder, gallbladder, gallbladder. All you had to do was read it. I don't want to point the finger at anyone." Oh, point fingers, bro. But everyone here, no one here is taking responsibility. The focus is them saying, well, don't be so dramatic. You could still have kids. Jorge's lawyer, oh, you know he did. Yeah, you did. Jorge's lawyer says his client is devastated. Although he's the father of two boys, he's apparently in a new relationship and had plans to try for a child with his new partner, you know, the good old-fashioned way. Obviously, they would like to conceive naturally. Now, he only has the option of artificial insemination. The problem was the day, because vasectomies are done on Wednesdays. And the staff at the hospital, including doctors, just treated Jorge as another vasectomy patient instead of bothering to look at his chart. All I can say is, Jorge, when you own that hospital, make sure that they spell George Basato Botched Surgery Center in big letters on the side of the building correctly. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with AI. I think I've talked about this before. I hate that people are having personal relationships with chatbots rather than other human beings. That's a trend. I hate that AI convinced at least one troubled kid to commit suicide. And I even hate this story where the Huber City Police Department was testing an AI-powered software called Draft One, which automatically generates police reports from body camera footage. Now, this is according to KSTU-TV. The goal being to reduce paperwork, but the software misinterpreted audio that was coming from the background The body cam software and the AI reporting software picked up on a movie that was playing in the background. The movie happened to be The Princess and the Frog. Sergeant Keel from the police department told KTSU. That's when we learned the importance of double-checking these AI-generated reports. The AI program's final police report falsely claimed that a Utah police officer shapeshifted into a frog because of the movie playing in the background. It just morphed it right into the story. Despite the error, Keel told the outlet that the technology has saved him 6 to 8 hours of work weekly. So where is AI doing some good? Because we need some good news to wrap up the show. Well, as prices of recycled paper, plastic, and aluminum increase, waste management firms are seeing an unexpected return on investment from their installations of AI-powered robotic trash sorters. Due to a variety of factors such as tariffs on aluminum and pulp mill closures and other factors, the price of our trash is becoming high. Republic Services, the nation's second largest waste management company, now have AI-powered robotic sorters in 1/3 of their facilities across the country. These machines are trained on 1,000 different varieties, colors, and states of trash. They make thousands of decisions per minute about an object's quality, integrity, and other characteristics, and then use claw arms and puffs of air to blow trash in one way or another to sort it. Take, for example, the AMP Delta sorting machine, which can pick out 80 separate items per minute while recognizing billions of different shapes, sizes, granular specifics, colors, logos, even SKU numbers on trash that would otherwise make the trash go into a landfill. Well, what's not good news is that humans are being made obsolete because the AI and the robots, they never get tired, they never take smoke breaks, they never disappear for a 2-hour lunch or drinks, and you can sexually harass the robot arm all day long. You know, hey, how's about you and me meet later over behind the PET bin and we'll do a little PETing. Huh? No? Unfortunately, what few workers remain are just there to oversee, and so is it really good news? I don't know, but that's all the time we have. So until next time, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and until then, may God bless you with health, joy, and wisdom.